You better say your prayers, you flea-bitten varmint. I'm gonna blow you to smithereens.
You do that and I'll kill you.
Good evening, metalheads. You're listening to Brutiful Metal Radio. You're on the Bullshit with Bob show, and we have a special guest tonight. If you have been living under a rock for the last 30 years, you may not know who this man is. He is the original singer for Legacy, which became Testament. He sang for Exodus for quite a number of years. He was with Tenet for a while. He also sings for Dublin Death Patrol, and he is currently singing for Hatriot. Welcome to the show, Steve Zetro Souza. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me, man. What's happening? How you doing?
Oh man, doing great. I'm glad to have you on the show. Thanks for taking the time out of your schedule, man, and bullshitting with us.
No problem. Good to be here, man. Good to talk to my brothers down in the South.
Man, and we are in the deep South here. We call it the crotch of America.
Hey, man, it's America. That's all that matters.
Right on, brother. Now, like I've talked before, you were the original singer for Legacy.
Right.
And then, you left to go sing for Exodus, and you actually introduced Chuck Billy to what became Testament, correct?
Right. We grew up in the same town, Dublin, obviously, hence the Dublin Death Patrol. And Chuck's dad was a baseball coach, so I'd known Chuck since I was like 10. He has a younger brother that actually plays in Dublin Death Patrol as well, Andy. And Andy and I were in the same class. So I kind of more hung around with Andy than I did Chuck, but I mean, I knew, all of the Billies. They had two older brothers and a younger brother. And so, when I got the option to go sing for Exodus, I knew Chuck was a good singer, and so he was one of my brothers. And so I said, "Hey man, why don't you try out for Legacy?" And he was singing in a band called Guilt, with a really hot guitar player named Danny Gill. And he was like, "Thrash metal, that?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, you could do it." So he got the gig, and the rest is history. That man's been in the band for 26 years now. So he is Testament as far as I'm concerned.
Now, like I said, you joined Exodus, and you were there through, I would say, their most pivotal CDs. In fact, I mean, if you can't think of Exodus without thinking about Toxic Waltz, Fabulous
Right.
Disaster. For me, Cajun Hell, because I'm originally from Louisiana. I mean, it's almost like an anthem for us back home.
Right.
And I also I wanted to ask you about that. How did Cajun Hell come about?
We were driving on Pleasures of the Flesh tour through Louisiana and the Bayou, and we stopped at Mulati. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Restaurant down there, and it just kind of like we were just talking about how the community is very tight knit, and outsiders aren't really allowed. You can skim the surface of it, but you really can't get into the Cajun lifestyle because they won't let you in. And we just thought that was kind of cool. And we just kind of wrote a song about maybe kind of a Southern comfort type thing where, you go down there, don't think you're just going to go down there and shoot it up and have a great time, man. It's their land, it's where they play the stuff, and they play hard. So if you want to go down to them playing Cajun, you're going to have some Cajun now. So that's basically how we came up with that.
You guys really captured, what we're about down there, in the fact that, Cajuns, they work very hard and they do party very hard. And
that's what we found that out. We felt that when we were there for the few days that we played in Louisiana on that tour, and we felt that, especially being in the deep Cajun country. One of the shows was like by a Cajun promoter, kind of, and it was like half metal. It was cool because they were all into it, but you could tell that there were kids that were from Cajun families there to listen to it. You know what I mean? It was just real cool. So we kind of took to it kind of well, and we understood it, and I think we balanced the song out really well lyrically with how the lifestyle is. I think we nailed it.
You guys absolutely nailed that song, man. In fact, the beginning part with the slide blues, that Delta blues sound, right, the frogs and everything. I mean, dude, I could listen to that and I swear I'm back home.
It was cool because, like, that's the way we felt cruising through the bayou, man. You know, it was just so swampy. You know what I mean? I guess is the word. So it was really that, and the essence of the song in the beginning is so, it just captures it, I think. I think you're right. It really, it starts it off, and then the lyrics and the groove and the blues are really, Cajun Hell is really, you really nailed it on that one, I think. I think that's right, for sure.
Man. Now, you know, of course, everybody knows Toxic Waltz and what it's about. What was the writing process like for that one?
Okay, well, Gary comes up and goes, Zed, here's the lyrics to this one. Or no, here's the riff. And I go, what do you want this song to be about? And he goes, I want it called Toxic Waltz. All he did was give me the title. He goes, it's going to be called Toxic Waltz. And I go, okay, so what do you want me to write it about? He goes, dude, just write it about what the kids do at our shows. So I went home and took it, and I fucked with it. And what I did was, is those lyrics that you hear, that you now know for 24 years or whatever, were a joke. I wrote it as a complete joke. What I did is I wrote a parody, like a 50s dance song, like The Twist or The Mashed Potato. And in those songs, when they're writing them, what they do is they explain the steps, you know, how you're going to do the dance and what you do in the dance, you know what I mean? You shrug your head or whatever. So when I wrote the Toxic Waltz, I basically wrote what I see bounce back from some blows and blood runs down your nose, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, I basically got. So when we went into the studio the next day, he said, did you write that? And I go, yeah, here. He said, well, laugh your ass up. These are jokes. And so he read them and he goes, they're brilliant. I go, this is a joke, dude. If we fucking sing a song like this, they're going to think we're a comic book. They're going to laugh at us. They'll fucking chase us up. So, well, no way, Zach. These are fucking jokes. Just sing them, man. We'll do it. And fucking sure enough, that was the most popular song on that was the soundtrack to this day. I still, even with Hatriot, like, let's go play that, like, Toxic Waltz tonight. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. They want to hear it. They like that song. Gets them going. Gets them in the pit.
Now, let's see, after Exodus, you joined up with Tenet for a while.
Yeah, actually not much of a join. I was asked to sing on the album. It was pretty much just a project if you looked at it that way. It was Jet Simon and Gene Oakland and Byron Stroud from Strapping, and then it had Glenn Alvarez from Forbidden and Testament, and with LB50 now, and myself, and basically it was music that was already written. Jet Simon had written all the lyrics, all of the music, and they didn't really have a singer. She sang on it, and Century Media was like, yeah, why don't you see if you can go try to find a singer. You're not much of a singer, and so they asked me to do it, and I thought, you know, maybe it was going to turn into a band, and it just really didn't materialize as far as continuing to write more songs or tour with that. It just seemed that it just kind of stopped right there. So I would have loved to do it again with those guys. I would have loved to do another record. I liked the ferocity of the Tenet stuff. I thought that it was really just kind of bouncy, polished, all over the map, kind of heavy, and I liked that. Not traditional thrash like I'm known for, you know, so that was a lot of fun. So, yeah, and that's something that we never even played live, too. It was kind of, those guys recorded, and then I got it. I went and did the vocal for myself, so kind of cool, but, yeah, that would have been fun. Or, I mean, it still could happen, you know, down the road. So, man, that's a great thing about music and music in general. You can always do something later and get back. It's not like sports, you know, you get so much time, and after your body's too old, you can't play anymore. Metal or music continues, you know, as long as you have the drive and desire to do it, you can do it forever, you know? As long as there's people that want to hear what you have to do and love what you do, and you're real about it, and you're passionate about it, they'll feel that, and they'll know that. And I think that heavy metal depicts more than any other form of music. Nobody shoves metal down our throats. We fucking love it because we love it. There's no media that says, oh man, this is the next cool thing, you know, there's no radio play, there's nothing. There's one fucking television show called That Metal Show, and God bless those guys. You know what I mean? That bring it to and they bring it real, you know?
Right.
Other than that, you got to search for it to find it. You know, and then the people that are fans like yourself and have fans, you're not throwing it away just because something else cool came in. It's like, oh man, I was into you guys last year, and now I'm into this. That doesn't happen with Metalheads. Metalheads love this shit forever. That's why we have longevity. We don't get the medium airplay, but it doesn't have to happen. We can still go to a fucking festival in Europe, 30 years after the fact, and even the newer fans are still screaming for the shit, and want to hear that song, and that's great. And I don't think there's any other form of music that it carries on, that is true. That fans are that true and that solemn to this, you know what I mean? Metal fans they die for it. They're diehards.
They're very metal fans are very passionate about the music.
I agree.
I'm 43 and I will still be playing metal to 11, 12, however fucking loud I can get it until the day I die.
I know. I'm 48 and I'm in a band with kids. I mean, Hatriot, these guys are fucking, the oldest guy's 24. My sons are in the band. I have my 19-year-old and my 22-year-old in the band, and it's like, you would think that a 48-year-old would kind of be mellowing out, and my shit's getting heavier and heavier as I go along. So it's in my blood. It's in your blood. It's how we were brought up, especially the 80s children. Those of us that were there when thrash was innovated. The late, early 80s, in the mid 80s, and then by the end of the 80s into the 90s, that it already had its staple, and now it's considered. If you do that, everybody loves it. The Megadeths, the Exoduses, the Metallicas, the Slayers, the Testaments, the Anthrax, those bands are all coveted as the innovators and the pioneers and the one that started the music sound that has broken off to so many different forms of music. I mean, black metal, death metal, progressive metal, shit like Meshuggah, shit like Nile. Thrash metal has a piece of every...
it's got a little piece of that pie of each one.
Exactly. There's something in every piece, so that's why it's really looked at as kind of like a hub of different music. I mean, I remember Celtic Frost and Venom were considered the first black metal bands that were really black and dark metal, and then you had Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that came, that's the death, but that all derived from thrash metal, and thrash metal derived from that, Venom and Diamond Head and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Saxon and the Sex Pistols, and you put it all together, and that's what you get, so I think that our bands out of any of the bands are the most loyal of all.
You're absolutely 100% right, Zet. I was watching, I'm sure you've seen this, Metal Headbanger's Journey. Sam Dunn did that documentary a few years back.
Yes.
And Rob Zombie, he said this, and it really, really stuck in my mind. He said, I've never met a guy that said, oh yeah, I listened to Slayer that one summer. I've never met that guy either.
I've never met him either.
No, not when it comes to metal.
That's my point, but I've never had anybody go up, oh yeah, man, I was into you guys next year, but this year I'm into emo or something like that. That doesn't happen with metalheads. It just doesn't. If you like Slayer, you like Slayer forever. If you like Exodus or Metallica, or you like them forever, those are your bands. You follow them, and it doesn't even stop there. But to me, Maiden, Priest, Dio, Sabbath, come on, Ozzy, those guys are all, they're the older statesmen that still spit it, and still have, Drawny until the day he died. I love that, man. They held it was true, and you think when you're at that age that at some point you look like the grandfather, the typical grandfather, at that age wouldn't have anything to do with that kind of music, and we're not. It's a different genre of people that are going to be going. Think about our genre too. We're all going to be old with tattoos. I don't remember that from my grandfather was old. Now all of us have tattoos, and our wives have tattoos. My fucking kids have tattoos. So it's going to be this old, but all these old people that have tattoos. It's going to be a different genre of people that are going to accept that,
And not just the tattoos, but the piercings and the uniform,
exactly.
the concert shirts, the ripped jeans, leather pants. You know, I'm gonna still be wearing that shit, bro. Like I said, when I'm 90 and I'm chasing fuckers around with my cane in the nursing home, that's gonna be me, brother. I'm still have my Venom shirt. I'm still gonna have, you know, my Metallica shirt or whatever, and I'm gonna have stickers all over my cane. I'm even gonna pierce my cane, and you know.
My cane's gonna be black with like a vampire head or something on it, so evil. You know what I mean? My fucking, I know that. I know my wheelchair's gonna be all fixed up in metal. I'll probably have the thing lowered and spikes all over it. You know what I mean? Like a metal license plate frame on there that says "fuck off" or something like that. You know, just something like that, because that's our genre. That's what we are. You know, that's what we moved into when our parents were. What they said or did may have been absurd. Now what we do is completely absurd, you know, but we don't think so. It's not going to look at it by the time we get old, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if society's going to be ready for us when we get old. You know, but...
They're going to be ready for us. They're already getting ready for us. Are you kidding me?
If they were ready for us then, why would they be now?
Exactly.
Because we're not going anywhere. Nobody's going anywhere. I'm telling you, I'm not going anywhere. I got fucking so much metal to spew. I still got 30 years of metal under me, so that means I got to be going till 78, you know? So I got a lot of shit to fucking spew still.
And you know, well, we are going to be sitting on pins and needles waiting to hear everything you got coming out too, brother.
Well, cool. I've been quite busy this year. We put the Dublin Death Patrol record that's been on, like, when is this thing going to come out forever? We got released in August. And then the New Testament as well. And I actually penned 3 songs with Chuck on the New Testament.
Wow.
And then I wrote A Day in the Death, Crown of Thorns, and True American Hate. So I have a few friends. I also wrote some on the Formation of Damnation. I wrote Dangers of the Faithless and More Than Meets the Eye. I wrote the lyrics to those songs. So I keep very busy with Chuck, you know. And then I'm very close with Eric and Alex. So I'll get a call every once in a while saying, "Hey man, got any cool lyrics? Got some riffs? Why don't you go see if you can write something for us then?" So I do it. So I like to keep busy like that. So I do write for Testament. It's cool.
Man, so that's awesome that you're still tight with the guys in Testament, and you know, you and Chuck are really close.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I talked to him the other day, called him, "What are you doing?" I go, "What are you doing?" "Nothing." "How are you?" I go, "Good." "I haven't talked to you." He goes, "I haven't talked to you. Where you been?" I go, "I was Anthrax and Death Angel." "Oh, it was great. What's next?" "I was doing this." "What's over there?" "I was coming out January 25th. "So, we doing any DDP show?" He's like, "Nah, we don't have time for that." I go, "Yeah, we don't." So, that's kind of how that conversation went, but we, you know, we're in touch every couple of weeks. I see what he's doing, he sees what I'm doing. You know, if he needs anything, I'm right there. If I need anything, he's right there.
Now, you had mentioned Dublin Death Patrol. You had actually joined up with that in 2006, right?
That's when we started writing it. Yeah, we started writing it and putting it together in 2006. And then we had the first one was called DDP for Life, released in 2007. And we did some sparingly tour on that. We played some dates. We went to Europe and did a couple of weeks there. And it was just basically kind of a fun project, just to do with some guys we had grown up with. And they had not necessarily played on the level that Chuck and I have played music on, so it was kind of cool to drag them. They got to play a festival with Iron Maiden and Sabbath and Slayer, so it was cool for the guys that had never got to go on. My brother, who was like a bass player in glam bands, he played on a couple of songs. So at one point on stage, there was like 12 fucking people. It was like 5 guitar players, 2 bass players, 2 drummers, 2 singers. It was fucking unbelievable.
Wow, it's kind of like Leonard Skinner.
I feel fine for the sound, man. Poor bastard. But oh well, that's what happens.
Excuse me, I'm coming down with a chest cold, man. They got something going around down here, some bubonic plague that the wife gave me.
See, that's the thing, man. And we live in California where they got killer weed and it's legal. You can smoke all the fucking weed you want here and they can't do jack shit to you. You know, so that's where you gotta take a visit up here and clear your lungs out up in Northern California. Tiny, smelly, greeny, you know?
Damn it, my mouth's watering. We've got a couple friends that actually grow for the dispensaries out there. They live in Vegas.
Oh, yeah, see, where I live, I have 3 friends that's all they do. that's their job, is they have, warehouses and they grow for them. So, I'm quite good friends with all three of those guys, I must say. And I must tell all the listeners, yes, I am very much so good friends with all of those guys.
Right on, brother. Let's get to Hatriot now. I want to get knee deep in this one. Now, let's see. You got Hatriot. You've got Mike Stevens. I'm gonna probably mess this name up. Costa Vervaticus.
It's Costa Vervaticus. That's why we call him Cook the V. I told him it's like a John 5 thing. I go, metalheads are gonna hate your last name, so you should just be Costa V. Let's just cut it and make it real simple. They're not the smartest people in the world. I know we don't have all that many brain surgeons in that one. That's fine. I don't want them to be. But that last name of his, I'm like, then I met him, like, dude, you've got too many syllables in your fucking name. Metalheads are not gonna like the syllable thing. So, and actually, Mike Stevens, his real name is Miguel Esparza, and we called him Mike Stevens, and we were at a practice one day, and me and Cody, my son, were screwing around, and we were like, yeah, we don't want no Mexicans in our band. Your name's Mike Stevens now. So it's just a joke. So he kind of goes, he comes to practice, and then he goes, you know what, man? I think I like Mike Stevens. I go, hey, people change their names in the business, and there we go. So he's Miguel Esparza, also known as Mike Stevens. That's a pick on the Mexican kid, what can I tell you, you know?
You said you got your two sons in the band also, correct?
Yeah, Cody, my son Cody, he's my oldest, he's 22, he's my bass player, and my son Nicholas, who'll be 19 in December, he's the drummer.
Right on.
Both awesome musicians that had to try out for this job, did not get this out of the gate. There was a couple of other people that were interested in both of their jobs, because Cody's been in the band longer than Nick. We actually had another drummer who is actually playing with a band called Decrepit Birth right now, and he was more of a death metal style drummer. So, and he had a lot of other bands he wanted to play in, and unfortunately, when you play with me, I can't have that. I need all of your cookies in my cookie jar. So, we were trying out other drummers, and the Galleon from Death Angel was going to come down and do it.
Wow.
Death Angel going. And my son's all telling me, Dad, I got it. I totally got it. I'm like, yeah, sure, you can stick it out. I'm like, okay, well, just get in line. You know what I mean? I was like, take your ticket. When we call your number, come on in. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck. To me, music is too serious, and I'm not going to be called as somebody who's on, it's just nepotism. The only reason we teach you in the band is because our kids are kids. I wasn't going to have that. So I made them try out. So when Nick came to his tryout, I was like, okay, let's go. And so all the guitar players, me and the guitar players and his brother were like, Cook's looking at me, flipping his eyes, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, let's go. First song, I'm like, whoa, okay. Second song, I'm like, okay, whoa. Third song, I've got my back to him, looking at Costa going, holy shit, he's fucking nailing it. And Costa looks at me and goes, holy shit, he's fucking nailing it. I go, yeah. I didn't expect this. I thought the Death Angel kid was going to get the job. You know what I mean? I didn't expect this at all. So, we kept practicing with him because I was like, I'm going to the studio to record the Hatriot record August 15th. If I got to call Paul Broscap to fucking do it, I will. I don't care. So, he kept playing with us, and after a week or so, we had a meeting. It was like, oh my God, it totally works out. He's totally got it. He's nailing it. I'm like, okay, well, then let's fucking, we don't need to be looking for a drummer anymore. Let's give him the gig. So that's how my son got the gig. Not because he was my son. I did buy him a drum set when he was 10. Said, here it is. This is what Joey Jordison, him and Joey are good friends. I know Joey through, Exodus and being in the business, and he's got a lot of his heroes that I'm friends with that he's met. Obviously, John Tempesta, so there's people that Nicholas looks up to that play, that are his heroes, and I told them the reason they got there is because they practiced very hard every day, not because their dad was some famous fucking guy and they got to ride his coattails. So you remember that, boy. So every day in practice, it's just, I nail it. But today I called him, we're not rehearsing today, but that doesn't mean you're not going down to the studio practicing. I know, I'm going there 5 o'clock. Good, that boy. Just go there and practice the album. That's what you need to do. And I like that with all the kids. I make sure that they're well ready. So, everybody who belongs in Hatriot right now, talking to Straw strongest lineup I've ever played with, and that means through Legacy, Exodus, Tenet, Dublin Death Patrol. This is by far the most talented lineup I've ever had.
Wow. Now,
I'm telling you right now, when the record comes out in January, you've heard the demo songs. The demo songs are good. The demo songs I'm very proud of. That was the first thing that got us, out into the world, so people got to hear us, But I'm telling you now, the best songs are the ones we wrote towards the end that we put on the record. I'm telling you, the best ones on the record to me. And maybe that's because these songs have been around maybe a year and a half or a year since we put the demo out. I think February of 2011 is when the website went up for Hatriot. We started feeding songs to the world, and that's kind of when I say that we were kind of born then. That's when the first time that actually people could hear us on the internet and comment on us, and we had a website and stuff, so that was February 2011. And those four initial demo songs that have been there for a year, I love those songs, but again, since we've been a band now, the stuff that we wrote close to towards the end, like the title track, Heroes of Origin, and then we have another one called Shadows of the Buried, it's about vampires, and I got another one that's called The Violent Times of My Dark Passenger, it's about Dexter. So I got a bunch of different cool-ass trips on there, and it was the stuff that we wrote as we were preparing for the record, and those were my favorite songs. Another one called Murder American Style, to me, is the hit on the album. But all the songs, this is the first record, I think, other than Tempo of the Damned, and a lot of people think Pleasures of the Flesh, and this is afterwards, there's 10 killers, no fillers. Every song is a fucking hit on this album. Every song.
well, we do have two of them to play.
Right.
And we will get to them shortly. But I wanted to say that you talked about your sons and had to work for it and audition and really step up. That should make you a pretty proud papa, correct?
It does. And my sons are very successful on their own. Like Cody's he's got a great job. He does a union refrigeration here in California, which pays really well. He's really smart. And Nick, too. Nick's very successful outside of that. So they live on their own. They don't even live with me. I'm not married to their mother anymore. So, I live with my girlfriend, and they live on their own, and they function great. And it's cool to be on stage with my kids. It's fucking great. You know what I mean? It's like everybody thinks that I've come full circle. I think I've come full circle as well. All the cool shit I've got to play, all the cool shit I've got to do, the concerts, the festivals, the heroes of my own that I've got to meet who know my name, that kind of shit. The things I could never take back. This by far is probably the coolest fucking thing, is to look back and go, the little shit on drums is my son, and the little asshole over there on fucking bass is my son too, these little shits, little metal shits. But that's how they were brought up, man. They weren't listening to no rap bullshit or whatever, man. They've been well versed in heavy metal from the minute they could listen to anything. So if they were in the car in that fucking baby sheet, there was something slamming on the stereo. There was, that's just the way it is. I listen to like you said, I listen to the music in my car on 12. Right on. It's on 12. I can't do that. I go pick up my daughter, because I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I'll pick her up, and she goes, can you turn that down? I'm like, no, I can't. Grow some hair, little girl. This is metal. Don't listen to this down. So she'll be sticking her hair fingers in it all. Yeah. The new Shadows Ball. Listen to it. Love it. That kind of crap. So.
That is awesome, man. Now, another thing that's pretty cool, with your sons being in the band with you, and going into the biz, they can actually sidestep a lot of the crap that goes on within the biz, because you've been there, you saw it, you've done it.
I told them that we're going to make mistakes. There are going to be things that are going to happen, but because I've been through it on this level, on the B-list level, down where you've had to go to the independent labels and pull the guns on the promoters and that kind of shit, I know what to expect. So every rehearsal, every gig is a lesson. I'm always telling something wisdom-wise of what's going to happen. Okay, check it out. This is going to happen like this, and then it's going to be like this, and then you're going to be like this, and this is the way it is. That's just the way it is, And I tell them that. So about that, and they're all very good about that, especially my son, because my son's just seen me go through it, and they've been around rock stars their whole lives, you know. I mean, you know, you got to remember, people like Phil Demmel and Chuck Billy are coming over my house all the time, you know, so they're around it. You know, they don't take it like, oh my God, do you know who was at my house today? They don't even think anything of it, you know, and so they know how to act, and believe me, if they don't know how to act, I'll have them up against the fucking wall learning how to act, because I don't play like that, I don't roll like that, you know, and I don't want my fans to be like that, and I'm not going to take it from my kids, especially.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in that environment, you know, it's not like, ooh, it's Chuck Billy from Testament. It's like, oh, that's just Chuck, you know, or that's just Phil, or Alex, or whoever, you know.
It's Gary. It's not Gary Holt. It's just Gary. It's just Rick. It's just Tom. You know what I mean? It's just Rob. You know, it's not Rob Flynn. It's just, you know, it's whoever. And we know here in the Bay Area that when we hang out and we see, it's not Craig Lassiter, you know, it's Craig from Forbidden. It's Craig and Alice, you know, him and his wife, and you know, there's Dominant, you know, so it's just like, everybody knows each other and everybody's pulling out like, so they get it. And like I said, they know people on big levels too, you know, they've hung out with Joe Jonas, and they've hung out with, you know, bigger bands that they respect, you know, and they know how to act, they know how to carry themselves, and that's good. That's what I want. They know when to step up, they know when to leave people alone, they know when to talk to people, you know, they get it. And that's a lot of it too. So I think they'll be all right. If not, I'll have my fucking foot in their ass.
That's the way a dad should do too.
That's right.
I tell you what, Zet, let's go ahead and pop on these two Hatriot songs real quick, and we'll come back. I've got Exodus, Cajun Hell. I've got two Dublin Death Patrol songs. I've got your two Hatriot songs. And I also have one that you penned by Testament, True American Hate, which is one of their newer songs. But I'll play that later on. We're going to go ahead and let everybody listen to Hatriot right now.
Cool.
So, metalheads, stick around. We'll be right back. This is Bullshitting with Bob on the Brutiful Metal Radio Show, and you're listening and talking with Steve Zetro Souza. Be right back after these. This is Hatriot, Globicidal, and Weapons of Class Destruction. Hello, hey, we're finally back. Alright, metalheads, you're here with the Bullshit with Bob show on Brutiful Metal Radio, and you just heard two tracks from Hatriot. That was Globicidal and
Weapons of Class Destruction.
Weapons of Class Destruction. We've got Steve Zetro Souza here in the studio via the telephone, and
Yes, you do.
I must say, those tracks are fucking powerful, bro.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. That's what we want. That's the reaction I'm looking for. Fucking powerful is good. We'll like that one on the list. Yes, sir. Definitely. That's what we want. That's why come January 25th, worldwide on Massacre Records, Heroes of Origins, that'll be, you'll get 10 of those. 10 of those. You'll get those two as well. We re-recorded those to put those on the record, because a lot of people haven't heard them, you know, on the demo, so we wanted to put them on the album. But there's going to be 10 killers, my friends. No fillers.
Now, you were telling me during the break that if people go to Hatriot, www.hatriot.com, you actually have two additional ones, correct?
Hatriot Metal.
I'm sorry?
HatriotMetal.com.
HatriotMetal.com?
Yeah, HatriotMetal.com. They can go there. There's 4 songs up there that you can download. That's set up. You go to Reverb Nation and download it. And also you can go to YouTube. We have a video if you want to see what we look like. And just go to Hatriot Bloodstained Wings on YouTube. We have a video, or you can see it on the website as well. And yeah, if you want to check us out, anything news, that kind of stuff, Twitter, we're there. There we are.
I tell you, you know, we were talking during the break about the songs. You know, man, when Globicidal first kicked off, and you know, I heard your son playing the drums, dude. Your kid's a machine, man.
Yeah, he has to be, and that was the criteria with Globicidal. We were like, a lot of other drummers wanted to try out, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'll play the song that I'm looking for, just so not to bullshit you. You've got to nail Globicidal. And every one of them was like, yeah, listen to Devil. That was the one that was going to be the toughest out of all of them. And I said, well, that's the criteria, because if you can hit Globicidal, then you can play everything with us. So when Nicholas was telling me, yeah, where's my tryout done on my tryout day? Because it was like 2 weeks we had known before he was going to do it. And I was like, you know, Globicidal, you've got to nail Globicidal. That's going to be the song we're looking at. That's the one I'm looking at. So he did. And so he did it very well. He did it really well.
Now, you know, we also discussed that, let me get back to the list here. Weapons of Class Destruction, you said, you know, it's more grooving, has that groove orient to it, and you said it kind of has a little bit of that Exodus feel, but you also have a little Slayer, a little Metallica, and,
sure.
You know,
very much so.
It sounds, to me, it sounds old school enough to, you know, stand up to anything from back in the day, but it also sounds current enough to where it'll blow anything that anyone's doing today off the stage.
We're hoping that's what's going to be the reaction from everybody. It's still got the old, it's got the old school sound, but we didn't fall into cookie cutter of old school, but it still has some nuance to it. And then I think the kids, the youth in the band brings that to it, because obviously they're up on what's going on in the new genre of metal, as well as Costa's very well versed in the old school. I mean, he'll tell me about thrash metal bands from the days and songs, so he's a good student of it, even being 24 years old. So like I said, it's that next genre of kids that are coming and listening to what we did back in the day, and this one listened really well. Because basically, Costa writes all the songs, he writes all the music, and I write all the lyrics. So there's a little bit of help from Miguel here and there, but Costa comes to the studio and tells Nick what to play, he tells Cody what to play, he drives the riffs, he drives what changes is going to happen here, how he wants it picked, and everything. So he's pretty smart. He's brilliant when it comes to metal. He's 24 years old. That's why I decided to do this again. I met this kid, and this kid had what I had played with in the past. He had Gary Holt-ish. He was very Eric Peterson-ish, you know. So he had that old school, but still some new ferocity about him, and that's why I decided to do this again, because actually when I met him. So that's exactly what we were trying to get. When you hear the record, we're going to be redoing another one of these interviews, but it's not going to be me. You're going to be talking to one of them next time, you know, and then they're going to be talking, you're going to be blown, the album that gets recorded. If you think that, to me, it's a very well-seasoned thrash metal record. It's a phenomenal debut record. And because I've got 30 years in the business, it's easy for me to just go in and do it, but to look at the kids, but this is their first time out of the gate, they did a phenomenal job, every one of them.
Right on. Man, I tell you, you said the CD's going to drop in January 2013, correct?
Yeah, January 25th is the actual day, 2013, correct.
And when it comes out, I'm going to get it, and I'm going to do a review of it, if you don't mind.
Of course. I want the whole world to review it. Tell me what you think, honestly. Although I know. If you love what you heard on the demo, you don't like everything. You don't like it all. It's all in the vein of what we pioneered almost 30 years ago. It was 30 years ago. Because Kill 'Em All came out in 83. So to me, that's the start of it, you know?
Right.
So...
Now, are you guys, you said you were talking to a couple labels, and are you guys going to be looking at doing any tours?
Well, we're out of, it's on Massacre Records. We're out on Massacre. The record label's Massacre. They have like King Diamond. They're out of Germany. We are going to tour. We're definitely going to tour. We're talking to a couple of tour agencies right now. And we just want to wait until the record comes out and gets reviewed. Once the album gets reviewed, that's going to probably play a lot to what we're going to do as far as the tour life. Obviously, if we get 5s all across the board to 10 out of 10, we're going to be, you know, a hot commodity. And because nobody's ever seen us before either. So that would be another curiosity level. And I think having my children in the band is also going to create a little bit of interest as well.
Right.
You know, to take a peek and see what the hell's going on in there. This old man's got his fucking kids in his thrash band. Wait a minute, I got to go see this.
Yeah, it will pique people's curiosity. They will want to come out and see it. I know if you're anywhere in our area, because we're like an hour and a half north of Panama City Beach. So if you come anywhere close to there, or Georgia, or somewhere here in Bama, we're definitely going to be there.
I'm planning on a full world tour. I want to drain the world on this. I want to get back to what I was when I played in Exodus, and I was doing Unpledged to the Flesh, the Fabulous Master, and got to Tenet again. I did a record, and I played every little bit of creating in the world, you know, and that's where I'm going to do this again. That's what I want to do. It's the only way to sell metal. It's the only way for all the metalheads to spew my word across the metal world is to tour.
Yep. People, you know, metalheads always want to go and see a show, and of course, you know, get the gear. They want to, you know, buy T-shirts or hats or, you know, patches and stickers. I know if you guys got patches available, I'm getting one.
Yeah,
it's like a trip to the mall.
We already have embroidered swag and stuff like that. We already have the, you know, that stuff's already out there. So, you know, when we play the, you know, the KSS, we go, hell yeah, the swag's important. Gotta have the metalhead support and, you know, spread the word.
Oh, hell yes. And if you don't mind, the two songs that we got, if you, like I said, if you don't mind, we'll put them in regular play and put them in our regular rotation, and we'll spread the word until the CD drops, and when that happens, we'll pull them off, and yeah, we'll put the CD on rotation.
Yeah, you're gonna love the shit out of it. You really gonna love the shit out of it. You like old school 80s. You like the two songs you heard. Really, go back and listen to the demo, and listen to Fear Within, and the Mechanics of Annihilation, and Bloodstained Wings. You go, damn, this is very much old school thrash, but with a new twist. And the record is just bleeding with it. I mean, it's got so much of that to it.
Now how was it, you know, the environment in the studio? Well, was it fairly relaxed?
Yeah, because everybody was rehearsed. We had rehearsed it so well. So when they went in, we knew that the drums are always the hardest. That's obviously the most technical. You know what I mean? And it's really, you know, tricky. Heavy thrash metal drums or death metal drums or black metal drums are not the easiest thing to play, let alone the chords and trying to nail and get in time. So that was our main concern. But he did all of the drums in 5 days. So he did it really well, and I wasn't worried about anybody else. Cody played all the rhythms in, like, I think a day. And then Cody took, like, 2 days, and I did all the vocals in, like, 4 days, finished from start to bottom. I was just prepared. Everything was written. We didn't spend any time in the studio coming up, oh, shit, let's come up with a part for that. We didn't waste any time. When we went in there, it was all recording.
That's quick, man.
Yeah, it was very fast. We started August 15th. August 15th, we were done with the record by September 15th. Finished.
Wow. What kind of pranks went on because they're all family?
Now, I'm going to ask you a few questions that, what kind of pranks were pulled on each other? Is there any one person that's the real prankster of the band?
No, not necessarily. My kids, if anything, those two assholes are always doing something, you know, to fuck with everybody. So if anything, it's Cody or Nicholas that's always being smart asses. You know what I mean? I'm like the serious old man, dude. I don't, you know what I mean? I can play along with everybody else, but I'm the one, you know, calling the huddle. You know what I mean? Going, okay, everybody come on, everybody come in. Everybody come in, let's huddle up, you know. So I'm the voice of reason. You know, so you're not going to get that much out of me. I guess that's after 30 years of doing this shit, you know, so
right.
I would think that's where that comes from. I still want to have a great time, but a lot of it's very much business with me, and I want to make sure that my performance is stellar, number one, you know, that when you come out and pay to see Hatriot play or pay to see Zetro, you're going to get 120,000,000%, because that's what I get every show. And I never go up on drugs or fucked up because I don't do drugs or drink. So, you know, I just smoke weed, California, that's it. Everything else is, and then that shit only keeps me, you know, tries to mellow me out because I'm so goddamn hyper anyway. So, other than that, brother, it's, you know, I'm very much concerned about my performance. And the only way to do that way is to be in shape and,
So you pretty much got everything regimented out. That way, cause I'm sure you got to take care of your voice and, you know, watch.
Sure.
You know, make sure you're not around people that's sick, like myself right now.
You try to eat healthy and tell yourself you're not going to get sick. Keep yourself healthy and exercise, and that's what I do every day. I do 3 hours a day, and so I eat healthy. I try to keep myself. I'm not getting sick. I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to get through this. So, you know, that's what I play like that, especially when I'm on the road. I don't get sick on the road. I make sure that I keep myself, you know, healthy. If I have through diet, through exercise, whatever I have to do. I mean, it happens sometimes, but it's how you attack it. You know what I mean? How you take care of it. It's how you're going to be okay.
Whoops. Computer just... There we go. Okay. Computer started falling asleep on us. I had to beat it into submission.
That's okay.
Now, as far as touring, what are some of the places that you're wanting to hit? Like, I'm sure, you know, across the U.S. Are you wanting to go to Europe and Japan?
Whole fucking world. Everywhere, my brother. I've got to go everywhere.
World domination.
They've got to go there. We've got to go everywhere. I've got to do the States and then come back and do the States again. You know, I'm going in rotation. It's now rotation. Once you get to put a record out, that means you get to tour the world, and then you go, I'm going to do another record, and you do it again. When you're an unsigned band, you don't have that luxury. You got to kind of play by the cards. Now I'm back in rotation. But I was in Exodus, so, you know, and the other band, it's like, once I do a record, I go out and do a world tour, and when that album starts to, you know, fall off and lame, you go back home and you do another one, and then you do it again. And that's what I'm planning. That's not a plan. That's what we are doing in Hatriot. So I will be in every little fucking town that I can fucking possibly be in to play. That's like I do every little interview and stuff I can to, you know, to spread the word across the street. You know?
That's what we're going to help do, brother. We're going to spread the word.
And I appreciate that. That's why I love shows like this. I don't have any problem with, you know, answering your questions and talking to you guys. You know, you spread the word of metal. So, and I preach it. I'm a preacher. I'm a preacher in heavy metal. So, I preach it as well.
Right on, man. Right on. That's what, you know, we do here. We spread the not just, you know, the word of metal, but I run a little program every now and then called Metal School, and I play a bunch of the old stuff, and that way, you know, kids that are, you know, young musicians that do tune in, give them a chance if they've never heard some of the bands from back in the day. You know, maybe it'll inspire them and influence them in a way that makes their musicianship that much better.
Yeah. Well, to me, that's the ones that's like every once in a while, you know, you'll get the little kid fan that'll be 10 or 11 years old, and he'll come over and, you know, he'll say, hey, can I get an autograph with you? You know, and it's like, you know, really? I mean, how do you know? Well, my dad plays your stuff in my house all the time, and I think that's the greatest, you know, that's the greatest to me compliment of anything. It's like, you know, when the little kids come up and want a picture and stuff, because that means they're the next set of people that are going to listen to my shit, you know
right?
what I mean? So that's exciting.
You know,
that's exciting for me.
A few years ago, man, you know, when me and the wife were still living in Vegas, we went to the Guitar Center up there. I was eyeballing a new guitar, and walked in and had this kid. God, how old was he, honey? Like 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there. He was young. And the dude was playing Run to the Hills, and right after that he went to the Trooper, and I'm like, right on, this kid's getting down on some Maiden, you know?
That's great.
His parents are raising him correctly.
But look at them. They play everywhere, sold out, packed. And it ain't all just the old school that are going to see Maiden. You know, they're bringing their fucking kids to see Maiden, you know? I just seen this thing on Access TV. It was a concert they played in Santiago, Chile last year. And there's like 80,000 fucking people at this concert, man. And it's not, you know, people from the 80s. There's young kids there, mostly young kids, all going crazy for Iron Maiden. And there's a lot of people there that are my age that have got their kids there, you know? That, you know, these Chilean people that have their kids that are passing it down from generation to generation.
It's awesome seeing the torch being passed like that, too. Yeah, you know, that just cements the fact that metal will never die. Metal is here forever.
Well, it's forever. Our fans love this. They're not going to throw it away for something else. there isn't some type of form of music, all of a sudden it's going to come up that the metalheads are going to go, I'm trading my Slayer records in. I'm going to take them in. I'm into this now. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I will never ever stop listening to metal to put on, say, Nicki Minaj or, Lady Gaga or something, And it's just not going to happen.
I don't even know who Nicki Minaj is. I know who Lady Gaga is, and the only reason I do is I watched her HBO special, and I was actually very impressed by her performance and the way she sings and stuff. I thought she was intense, and she's really a great artist. Would I go out and buy her record and put it in my CD? No. Fuck no. The only thing that's in my fucking deck is metal, you know what I mean? That's what I listen to. So I don't know any of that other stuff. I just don't know it. I don't have it. People are like, well, you heard this song before. I'm like, no, I haven't. Oh, yeah, you have. It's on the radio. You heard it. I go, check it out. Number one, I don't listen to the fucking radio you listen to, okay? They don't play anything heavy enough for me to listen to.
No.
So, no, I don't know that song. There'll be top 40 songs or top 40 artists. I'm like, who's that? Oh, that dude's totally huge. I'm like, never heard of him before. Couldn't tell you who won American Idol the last 8, 9, 10 years. I remember this girl Kelly won it the first year. That's all I can tell you. I don't watch that bullshit.
Yeah, same here. I can't watch. I did watch the first year just to see what it was about. But the shit after that, man, it was all.
Every once in a while.
It was cookie cutter bullshit, basically.
Yeah, I just, it's not. I mean, it's fake to me. Fans have to like you by doing it the old school way. You know what I mean? By working hard and
paying your dues.
Out, having people listen to you and you're working it. Not by going on a television show and having people, doing all at you. For the most part, there's really only a couple of those people that are successful. I think it's that girl Kelly and that other touchy singer, Carrie, kind of pretty girl. Now, I don't think there's really anybody from that show that's really done anything that I know of. The little British fat kid, he was hot for a couple of years ago. We were singing Christmas records, but to me that's very metal.
Now, they did have, from what I understand, a metalhead on there a couple, 2 or 3 seasons ago, but they wouldn't let him do any real metal, I mean, he got to sing a...
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like I said, I've never watched it before. My mother called me one. I think Priest was on there one year to play a song with one of those fat kids. And so my mom goes, do you know some band called Judas Priest? I'm like, yeah. So they were on American Idol out there. I'm like, why? Why would they do that? Really? They did? That was dumb. I used to have respect for them. Now I wouldn't. No. Fuck that show. Fuck that shit.
Brother, I agree with you 1,000%. And 9 times out of 10, a lot of the shit you see on TV, like these, what is it, X Factor now and American Idol, it's really shit that they're just trying to force feed you. Kind of like how the radio is, it's something that's been put together and arranged by someone other than the artist usually. And here, this is what you need to like next.
Right, exactly. That's American. The rest of the world isn't like that. Just in America. Obviously, where you make the best money if you can be successful, unfortunately. But as far as that's concerned, yeah, you have to, that's how that is. That's why metalheads, like you say, will stay true forever. So you don't have to worry about that,
And still to this day, I believe, the best metal comes from the underground. I mean, I've got a lot of bands that we play on here, that are unsigned indie bands, and they're fucking fantastic. Their musicianship is excellent.
They're the rawest. They're the freshest. They're the ones that are the hungriest. So you're going to get the best from them. I agree. That's the way. But that's all metal. If you're any type of, think about it. There's only one band like Metallica who's richer in the world. You know what I mean? Pretty much none of the other bands. So that's why they stay true to form. Nobody's really had a ton of financial success to get unangst. I'm still very pissed off individual at 48 years old, I've got a lot of anger to fucking spew out, which I do, and my release is through metal.
Now, speaking on being pissed off, I'm still pissed off and angry and everything, and, I still, write from time to time, and the stuff I like to listen to is always the more aggressive stuff. It's always the most aggressive music. And
well, that's how it was for me. I was 8 years old. Like, I heard Stairway to Heaven. My dad's old school biker, so I used to hang out with him in the early 70s. I was born in 64. So in the early 70s, when he's building bikes, I'd be in his garage. And he'd be playing like Allman Brothers or Zeppelin or Sound of Jimi Hendrix, you know. And I heard Stairway to Heaven. I was like, what is this? And my dad took me down 8 years old. I bought Led Zeppelin 4. So I've always listened to the heaviest type of music. And how many 8-year-old kids are going, yeah, can I have that song? And they go, that's a wine out on the road. You know, that's what I thought he said forever. There was a wino down the road. You know what I mean? So once I heard that voice, that lead guitar that Page does in that, I was hooked.
oh, what are you doing there? I got the wife's reaching around me, touching on the mouse. Get away from me, woman.
Which mouse?
Yeah, you know.
I want the mouse.
You gotta know how to talk to your woman right, you know.
Well, you Southern guys have a certain way about your women, so it's great. Of course, you guys get them in line. I live in California. They all got a voice out here. They're all fucking liberal. You guys got them in line.
Well, actually, my wife's from Vegas. So
yeah, she got you in line.
oh yeah, bro. You know, I gotta walk a very thin line. Otherwise, I get the skillet and the ashtray. I'm lucky I can run faster than she can.
That's the problem, Jay.
Now, let me pick your brain for a second. We've heard stories from, you know, how the Bay Area was in the early days. What was it like?
It was it's magical. It was a show every night. Everybody was very tight-knit. You'd walk into a club that's world famous. I'm sure you heard of Ruthie's Inn on a Friday night to go see Exodus and Possessed. And you'd look around the room and everybody you could think in every Bay Area band, from Metallica to the guys in Legacy, to the guys in Exodus, to the guys in Blind Illusion, to the guys in Forbidden and Death Angel and all that stuff, you know, all hanging out together. So that's what it was like. It was like we were all at this bar in this cool scene. And Saturday night's a show, and then there's going to be a Sunday afternoon show, and then there's going to be a Tuesday show, and then on Thursday there was like a show. It seemed like every day somebody was playing back in the day, and I just seemed to think that was a normal thing. You know, I thought that every city, that's just how it went. You know, until, you know, as we got older and we started venturing out into our bands, and we found out as we went through the world that the world wasn't like that, that this was kind of a special place where you could talk about 13 great thrash bands, 13 deep, you know what I mean? Right. In any other region of the world, it wasn't just showing that. There was LA, you had Megadeth and Slayer and Dark Angel and a couple others, and then New York you had Overkill and Anthrax and like MOD and SOD, and you had Chromax and that kind of sound. But there you had Metallica, Exodus, Testament, Forbidden, Death Angel, Possessed, Blind Illusion, Violence. You could just Mordred. You could just go down the list of all the great thrash bands that came from here. So maybe something was in the water.
Now, the San Fran Bay Area was kind of like the basically the anti-Sunset Strip kind of mentality, correct?
Exactly, right, exactly. We didn't wear that shit purposely, you know what I mean? We went on stage with t-shirts and jeans and tennis shoes, you know what I mean, and leather jackets. They were the ones that made the hair all up. Yeah, we had long hair, or hairspray. None of us had fucking poop jobs, you know what I mean? We didn't paint our faces up. We didn't wear lipstick. We would be caught dead listening to a fucking Molly Crew. Although, I love Molly Crew now. I'll listen to that stuff. I'll listen to Doc and a Rat now. But back in the day, we couldn't get caught dead listening to that shit. You know what I mean? It was glam music. It was poser metal. Don't listen to posers. We're thrash. We kill posers.
I remember reading something, I believe Lars from Metallica had said this, that they were down in LA and they would go and you know, call Motley Crue names and basically throw shit at them, and Motley Crue would chase them.
I wasn't from LA, but I remember when Metallica moved up here. So, when they got up here, it was like, these people are much more like us, you know what I mean? So, and then basically, if you really want to get down with Exodus, then it's thrash metal. Metallica learned off of Exodus, you know what I mean? So
right on.
They just got the nod, They just got brought up to the big figures, before anybody else. But I mean, Tom Hunting invented the drum. That's Tom Hunting. He should have learned how to do that.
Now, metal chart.
All of the history.
Go ahead.
All of the history. All of the days. How it was back in the day. That's what it was like.
Man. Now, Metal Church was from the Bay Area too. Is that correct?
Metal Church was from Seattle.
From Seattle.
Yeah, they were from Seattle. They did come down a lot because there was more bands from the Bay Area that they could play with here, and there was more clubs in the Bay Area that had thrash metal,
Now, I also want to ask you what your thoughts are, say, on the Big Four. Do you think it should have been the Big Five or the Big Six?
I think it should have been the Big One and the other three. I mean, there's really not a Big Four, It's like Metallica is huge, and the other three that come along with them, and don't get me wrong, I love every one of them, but it's not the Big Four. It's the Big One, the other three, and the other two or three that came out to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
That should have been the Big Five. Exodus should have been considered in one of them. We never were. We were always the next talk after. We were always like the lap behind everybody else. We were always coming up hard, but it was always a lap behind, it seemed like, if you were to explain looking at it.
I don't know. I always thought Exodus was a lot more heavier than Metallica.
Well, I think that's what kept us where we were. So, we were kicking your face and rape and murder your wife. They were search and seek and destroy. You did the math. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, I want to throw these links back out again. Your main website is www.hatriotmetal.com.
Correct.
And that's where people can download the 4 songs that you have there from the demo.
Yep. And you can go to Reverb Nation and just go ReverbNation/Hatriot, and you can get the songs and put them down on your computer or your iPod. Any of that song, so you can have them. Personally, we created. I guess there's that Reverb Nation, so you can do that. We wanted everybody to have the songs.
Right.
That is cool, man. Now, you guys have a Facebook page and a MySpace page.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, just go to all that. www.hatriot/Facebook. There's all that stuff there, of course. Yes, sir.
Now, when the CD drops, where will it be available? Will it be available in stores?
Yeah, it'll be available in stores. It's not on Massacre Records, so it'll be in the stores worldwide. Best Buy, FYE, all that kind of stuff. They'll have it. Of course, you'll be able to go iTunes, Amazon.com, anywhere. You'll be able to get it.
Man, that's awesome. I'm telling you, just from what I've heard, I cannot wait for that CD to drop. I mean, my mouth is watering, dude. You gave me an eargasm listening to those 2 tunes.
Good. Well, go check out the other stuff, Dan. Go check out the video and see what, because then you can look at it and see what, see what we look like. And then, and that's another song that's on the album as well, and that song's called Bloodstained Wings. Really great, very Slayer-ish kind of song. So, even if you can't get it up on your show, just go on your own computer and check it out for your own head.
Now, I'll let my listeners know, Zet has told me that we can go ahead and take the video and embed it onto our page here. You can go to the YouTube page and check it out, of course. But for those of our listeners and our fans out here in Brutiful Metal World, we're going to pop it up on our page, and that way you can check it out here too.
Very nice, very nice. For all the Brutiful Metalheads, we love them.
We're going to spread the disease for you, brother. We're going to do that shit.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do.
Now,
I appreciate your stuff too.
Now, Steve, I want to thank you for taking the time out, man, and talking with us. And go ahead and wrap this up.
My man, thank you.
Oh, and please, if you would, stick around on the phone for me for a second.
Yeah.
Again, you know, thank you so much for taking the time out and talking with us, man. And whenever you want to, you are more than welcome to come back anytime. You are part of the Brutiful family now.
It's my pleasure, my friend. It feels good to be part of the Brutiful family. And again, when the record drops, we'll have this conversation. We'll talk about the other songs. Actually, maybe you can talk to the other kids, my kids, or the other guys, to see what their take on it is.
Oh, hell yeah, man. That would be awesome.
That would be great. Definitely.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and pop up. I've got Cajun Hell. I've got Mind Sewn Shut from Dublin Death Patrol, which you also sing on. Welcome to Hell, Dublin Death Patrol.
Yep.
And a song that you wrote, True American Hate by Testament.
Definitely.
So,
definitely.
Go ahead.
My blood in on those. Definitely.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, like I said, please hang on the phone just for a second.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, Metalheads, you're listening to Bullshit with Bob show. And we've been talking to Steve Zetro Souza. And I've got some songs coming up. Stick around. We're going to be blasting metal the rest of the night. Right here on Brutiful Metal Radio. And welcome to the swamp, fuckers.
What's up, Metalheads? This is Steve Zetro Souza from a million metal bands, but now from the mighty Hatriot. And you're listening to Brutiful